Hey, everybody. I'm here live with Ellen Petronella. And,
Yes.
and tell everybody where you're, this wonderful, amazing scenery behind
Um,
you. Yeah,
yeah, I'm actually sitting in Paris at the moment in the Tuileries, Jardin de Tuileries. So it's called the Tuileries Gardens, is how you translate it. And yeah, that's where I'm at the moment. And I thought that was fitting the theme of, not letting the devices dictate us. So I'm just going to hang here.
exactly. And that's the name of that place is also why Ellen had to say it as well, because I would not
I
be able to.
understand. Uh,
Yes,
No
absolutely.
worries.
I for sure. But I love too how we're bound a bit by the technology a little bit because of battery power. But that's okay. Like whatever, we go with the flow. However, our cameras, I mean, our devices take us. We just flow with it. So
Yeah, it'll be fine.
it'll be fine. So
It'll be
welcome
fine.
everybody. Um, for those that might not know who, I'm just looking at some of the people in the chat here. For those that might not know what you do, Ellen, could you give a little background on your
So,
a bunch of big creative stuff, a big
yeah,
social media following stuff,
yeah.
when here you are in Substack as well. So
Yeah, yeah. So, I'm Elin Petronella, and I've been an independent artist now for 10 years. It all started here in Paris 10 years ago. And for the first 8, I would say I was doing only visual arts, using social media to leverage my art business. Since 2 years, I've also been on Substack where I've been writing. I became a bestseller and recently decided to let that go, which I imagine we'll be chatting about here. And yeah, having been doing this now for 10 years, I think the only way to sustain in the game is to not to play it according to what works for you as opposed to what works for whatever platform you're on at the moment. So just for context, I have about 500,000 across platforms. We're speaking Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest are my biggest ones, and then Substack, obviously. And private email list. So, yeah, I guess I know a few things about social media and things come and go. I took 5-year break on Instagram. Now I'm back and it's working fantastic again. So really, we make up the rules. Yeah.
oh, yeah, with Social Media Escape Club, I'm never an absolutist of like, okay, you have to delete everything right now. You gotta do what works for you.
Yes.
If getting
Yes.
on Instagram leads you on a doom spiral and losing 5 hours of your
Oh,
afternoon,
gosh.
probably not good to keep using Instagram. But there
No.
are some people that like, yeah, cool, I could go back on there, I could post some stuff and
Yeah.
duck out. So if you can make that work.
I think what you're mentioning here, that there's never a black and white, is very important because I mean, like with everything online, there are always these quote trends going where, you know, it seems cool to just delete your accounts or cool to delete because, oh, you're showing that you have agency. I can do this. But really, at the end of the day, I'm so happy that I never went to the extent of deleting shit. I just let it swim. I just kind of let it as if shopping window. I let the shopping window stay, and I went to the platforms at the time that they were serving me for, depending on what season I was in. So I've got 2 children as well. So, depending on whether I want to be seen on camera or whether
Mhm.
not, where I just want to write, where I'm doing visual arts, whether I'm whatever. And in the meantime, I just let the others float, and that's kind of how I've been building my little world.
So much of a common theme through a lot of your work and what it's the name of your publication, right? Follow your gut, right?
Follow your gut. Yes.
Like so much of this is as I alluded to, if Instagram makes you heart hurt and gives you like night terrors and stuff, like trust your gut. Like maybe
Yeah.
it's not for you.
Yeah.
Try YouTube, try this, try that.
Yeah.
Um, how how do you feel like because like and I see this too. I mean, we see this a lot of like you got to follow the gurus, you got to post, you got to do this, you got to hold a content calendar. You
Yes.
got
I've never had one.
right, like
Yeah.
like like
And I've paid
how,
my bills for this for 10 years. So, you don't
so,
actually need one.
right. So
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
where do we where as creative people do we find the grace and the the I don't know, permission slip almost of like, let's just do it how we want to do it.
Uh, I think first it's a great point about the permission slip because I think we will never necessarily reach the if the goal is to live off of art, I think we won't ever necessarily reach the goal of enjoying it unless we give the permission slip to ourselves.
Mm,
As soon as we start outsourcing how to do it as opposed to actually just really taking the rein and doing it the way that you know I like to one way that I've been writing about it, but also I've been talking about it through the years. Sometimes I take on mentees, sometimes not. Again, depending on season. Um, the way that it's really how are you doing it before you had the idea that you wanted to monetize it? Is it what are you already doing when people are not watching? What is kind of like your natural way of creating before you start thinking about, eyes watching it or monetizing it and all of those types of things and really double down on that. Because I think that it's as soon as we start applying too much strategy that is supposed to be smart too early, we're actually limiting ourselves more than anything. And I can say this from experience. I mean, I've been going through that cycle
mhm,
multiple times. So it's not that I'm saying here, I'm immune to this stuff. I'm
mhm.
definitely not. But I'm very conscious about the pattern now. And now I can see it just how fascinating it is how when we start with the excitement, we just do what comes natural, and then maybe one thing is taking off, and you're like, "Shit, okay, well, now I need to get serious," It's almost like when you get your first baby, it's like, "Oh, shit, now I start need to start wearing beige." By the way, I'm not beige. And and it's like I was like, "Shit, I need to start getting serious now." And, it kind of overlaps. I write about this too, the overlap of motherhood, not necessarily focus on motherhood per se, more so the role of, um, how conditioned mothering is, as well as how many much pressure and conditions it is around artistry. And so I write quite a bit around that overlap as well, and just, like, as soon as we lose the confidence that we actually know what we need to do and we start trying to look at how everyone else is doing, and if we are not doing what they're doing, it means we're failing when actually they're probably just as lost as you are, so you better just,
Mhm.
turn your eyes inwards and, like, just do your thing.
Do your
So, yeah.
thing. Yeah, so often, but you saying, like, what comes naturally, like, so many of
Yeah.
us, we go out and we do things or we take photos the way we do or whatever, and but then all of a sudden it's like, "Well, no, photos
Yeah.
don't work. You need to do this
Yeah.
video thing." I
Yeah.
can't believe there's people still pointing at things
I don't understand it. Yeah.
on Instagram.
Yeah.
I like,
Yeah.
it's like, what? Like, no
Yeah.
one wakes up and wants to do that, right? I don't know,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, to follow that and to see that, like, it's mind-boggling,
Yeah,
so
and I think not only that, it's also to allow yourself to change. Again,
yeah.
I mean, you've been doing also for years independently, and I've seen your photographs also. I love them. Just because you're writing and now chatting about social media, escape plan, and all of that doesn't mean that you can't also do your photo and also do XYZ because we are multifaceted humans and
Yes.
we constantly change. And actually, humans like to follow humans. It's just that somewhere along the line, the biz bros kind of entered the scene saying that you need to niche down
Mhm.
when really for me, I'm just I've realized that that has actually been as an artist, I wouldn't say mistake, but when you step into like kind of embodying just, I'm just doing my shit, whatever you do becomes magnetic in that sense where so I'm doing modern hand embroidery and then I'm also writing and then I'm also painting and draw like I'm doing a lot of different things and my folks tend to follow me where I go, which is really cool. That's kind of how when you start building your little world, and I would love to hear your how it's been going for you. Set by the way, I know you're encouraging folks to create their own websites and all those types of
Mhm.
things. And I just wanted to say that when we're thinking long term legacy, we're thinking long term sustainability. If this is actually a lifestyle that you want in the long term, ownership, I think, is one of the only ways that you can actually keep that. I can, hand on my heart, say I wouldn't be here if I didn't retain ownership this whole time. You know, all the I've been in so many different. I've tried all the platforms, but all the links are
Mhm.
always going back to my own site. So you know, I before my kids, so 6 7 years ago, um, I was posting at that time, I was still working with my husband,
Mhm.
in the first art business, so we were posting 5 times a day on Pinterest.
Whoa.
We went up to 10 million, even 15 million views a month, and I didn't post for 5 years. I'm still at nearly 1 million a month passively for the past 5 years, and that's been bringing me passive sales of my patterns for all these years while I've been with my babies. So, um just saying that it's because every single post of all those thousands of posts were linking back to our website
Mm.
and not somebody else's,
Right.
not an external platform, our site or now my site.
Right, yeah, yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah.
huge, yeah.
Yeah.
The a thing I hear a lot with, creative young creative people getting into like, they think like, "Oh, I don't need a website yet." Like, like,
Oh, you
R
do? I think you do.
the ROI is not there. I've
Mm.
that was brought up on one of our calls that we do, one of our weekly social media
Yeah.
escape club calls, and then we had another great, person on there saying, Casey, was like, "No, you need a website for agency. Like,
Yeah.
you need to own your thing, like, this that's your so no matter where you end up going, if you get kicked off
Exactly.
Substack or
Yeah.
Instagram or TikTok tomorrow, you
Yeah.
have the website." So,
Yes.
yeah, that's been a big thing for me, as you have probably seen, like, I'm just talking about
Yeah.
websites so much, and also trying to get people over the fear of, "Well, a website's gonna cost me $10,000 to
Doesn't
have
have to.
someone design it," right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, or or $30 a month on
Yeah.
Squarespace and stuff, and I'm trying to show and illustrate, like, no, I'm trying to show people how, like, we could do it for like, let's just start with the bare bones HTML stuff. I know that's super
Yeah.
nerdy and geeky, but to take the fear out of it.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have to be afraid of this stuff. This is
Yeah.
very old technology. If you don't know how to, like, attach your domain name to your thing, your website, everyone's had that problem.
Yeah, and that I mean, let's just be frank now, we can use, our like, we can use the chatbots to ask those things very easily,
All
you
the
know?
time.
I
All the
ask
time.
for the codes and things, canonical tags and shit, like,
Yes.
I'm the least technical person ever, like, I just wanna sit with my crochet, my embroidery, my pencils,
Mhm.
and so instead of people freaking out about AI, I'm like, "Thank God, it's saving me so much time. I don't have to go and ask somebody else. I don't have to spend money. I just ask them to do the tag I need, and I just plug it."
Or try to find the YouTube video telling you how
Yeah,
to
you
do the
know?
thing.
Yeah, we
I
have
know
access to everything.
AI is such a contentious thing, of course, it
Yeah,
could take jobs, it could take creative things. Just tell me how to set up this DNS thing, please.
yeah,
I've been doing DNS stuff for, like, 20 some years.
yeah,
I still don't know what the hell I'm doing. So, for me to be able to take, like, a screenshot, "Hey, it looks like this, what" and just tell
yeah,
it's like, "Here, do
yeah.
this." So,
On yeah, it saved me a lot
yeah.
of time.
So
Yeah,
not only that, like if you're okay in using that technology, but also too of like just reach out to people of like,
yeah,
how
yeah,
did you do that? Like
yeah,
I'm trying to foster too of this community aspect of this because social media has isolated so many of us in that like
yeah,
okay, it's just me. I'm the lone person. I'm the one doing everything. It's like, no, let's start leaning on other people in our networks and our
yeah,
communities and like helping one another. Like not everybody is the design person, not everybody is the website person. Imagine if we
and you
just
don't
help
have to.
one another. Yeah, you don't have to be. Right,
Yeah.
right.
So, as I said, I'm really not into tech, and I have a Squarespace site,
Mhm.
and literally, it's like I think just to get your site live, it's like $9 a month, and it's a drag and put blocks like
Mhm.
you drag and pull.
Yeah.
Like, it's very basic. So if you HTML or things like that feel scary, like, you can literally just anything, um, and domain names and things like that, it builds authority over time.
Mhm.
So, my own name has become a search term in in
Right?
Google. You can literally, like, Google my name
Mhm. Yep.
and, so I think what we're getting to here is and I just wanted to touch base about what you mentioned before around how people feel that there's not enough ROI and things like that, where obviously social media gives you the potential of instant satisfaction of potentially going viral if that's what you're aiming for. Whereas if you do build your own website and you host an email list linked to that, what you're building is not necessarily something that will grow tomorrow, but something that could sustain you 10 years time forward. Um, like those years when I they for yeah, I mean, it's been about a year now that I'm more back into work. My children are getting older. My little one is about 3.
Mm.
But for the first years of motherhood, you just don't have the space. So I was not in a growth mode, if you will. I just
Sure.
was in maintenance mode, using the email list, nurturing what I already had. Maybe I sent one email every 2 weeks, and then I did a sales campaign a month or something like that, like bare minimum. But I kept for the same. Um, Over, I think it was like the 10,000 or something over a period of 4 or 5 years. So obviously that list went down, but they kept the income relatively stable without me having to even get out there. And it was just because of the long-term ownership, the legacy work. Like if I had relied on social media those years, like I would have been out of business a long time ago.
Absolutely. Yeah, especially too of the website with the email sign up form,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because you never know like, not everybody's on the social media platforms,
Yeah.
and if they're not, then they can't find you at all because that's a really bad experience. If you try to go visit someone's Instagram account, you don't have an
Yeah,
Instagram
yeah.
account.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But everyone's got a web browser, they can look you up, they can find your work, and then, like, yes, of course, in those 2, 3, 4 years in the beginning, you don't get that sure, of course, you don't get that many email subscribers because social media is super optimized to, like, make sure you do get followers because they want you to keep coming back.
But again, what
But
what what does followers actually give you?
yeah,
I
right.
think we should address that.
Yeah.
What does followers actually give you other than something social proof? But social
Mhm.
proof of what? Does it give you money in the bank? Does it pay your bills? Does it allow you to make more art? So the way I look at it is the ultimate goal is to generate enough money so that you can make more art,
Mhm.
right? Like each month that I make enough to pay my bills, like, okay, great, I can keep going. And followers, unless I suppose you're a lifestyle influencer where all of those metrics kind of matter. Um, what really matters is the folks that are entering into your ecosystem, people that you can actually contact when you want, how you want it. So I think that this is where we maybe should chat a little bit about Substack and how we're integrating that into these ecosystems. Because first, the word term ecosystem. I mean, I have many who just feel completely what is that, but really what is the center of it, how what's your money site, okay, if that's the money where the monetization is, that's the center, and everything around is supposed to be linking to your money site, right? And where Substack gets sneaky is that it builds the monetization into it, right?
Mhm.
And so it wants you to use everything else to link to Substack, but really Substack is, let's be honest, it's a social media. um, it's just another social media, but with this monetization kind of twist. And
Yeah.
so it kind of makes it all like I've had a really hard time wrapping my head around it just because I started it in a moment, kind of like a parallel business to my main art business. I
Mhm.
just as a social experiment, it exploded the first 6 months because I didn't have a plan. And as soon as I tried to apply the strategies, I was like, I felt like I just hung myself. No, but I just suffocated my own flow. And it took me about a year a bit more than a year to kind of just untangle all of that and just be like, I wrote a year ago a post that I don't want the bestseller badge anymore, and you responded to that a year ago, I remember, and
Mhm.
we chatted already then that we should have a talk, and then life happens.
Yeah.
And that's the thing where, like, when you build the monetization into the social platform, suddenly, um something happens where the boundaries, if you will, of where is your center, what's your monetization set, where doesn't mean to be a bad thing. If you are someone who can manage a lot of balls in the air, like I have a lot of projects going on, all of that to stop. But eventually, if you want to build systems, if you want to build things that can hold you, support you in the long run, um, then your social medias should be supporting, not be pulling. Does
Mm,
that make sense?
yeah,
Um,
big time.
yeah. Now I went
But
into a rant,
no,
but
no, 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 no. I'm always of the mind of, like, don't send people to where you can't reach them.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
don't, like, on your promotional materials at the end of a podcast when, like, "Hey, where can people find you?" "Oh, find me on Instagram." No, don't find me on Instagram,
No, no, no.
because I could gain 1,000 new followers on Instagram, and when I go to post something the next time, 100 people might see it. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
what are those
I
for?
have 200,000 on Instagram, and
Sure, yeah.
I can have a post that gets 3,000 views, and I can have a post that gets 170,000 views. Like,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
just
you never know, right, it's a roll of the
no,
dice.
you don't know, and they can look identical. So at this point, it's
Mhm.
not even about, like, you know, this is where this because this is working, this is not. Like, I feel like it's a combination of factors, right? But if we start focusing on those types of things, well, likelihood that you're actually going to post anything at all is like zero. So, it's better to just get your shit out there. And so what I'm doing is I'm using the tool of ManyChat.
Oh, yeah,
Make it
yeah,
comment a word.
yep,
They receive some kind of freebie that they opt into. Give me their email address because I know that they might never ever see my name again,
yeah,
and it has worked fantastic. When I shifted the attention from getting followers and instead shifting them into how can I get them into my world?
yep,
How can
get
I
their
keep
email address, yeah,
contacting them? How can
mhm,
I keep how can I build the journey so that they get to know me and feel that I'm a real person? How can
mhm,
I build the story arc that I feel that I'm in charge of? And it's one thing with Substack that I always felt it fell a bit short, that the welcome email is one email instead
oh,
of
yeah,
having the option of a little short series, for
mhm,
example, of just introducing here are my best work of this, or every person where so somebody who would join my private list, if you will. I have two email lists, so
yep,
one for my embroidery work, one for my writing. And so for the artworks, they will join and they will literally get kind of a curated journey that reflects my world, right? And
mhm,
they get
yeah,
introduced to different entry points depending on how they entered. Whereas Substack, it's like every post I write feels like this needs to be good because this might be the first post for
right,
somebody,
mhm, yeah,
and this changes also the way that you approach it. And so we need to, and the messaging, the copy, the angles and stuff. So it's something to reflect a bit upon. And for me, at least, now having stepped down from monetizing
mhm,
on Substack and where I will monetize on my own site, I feel a huge relief where suddenly, however somebody enters the Substack, if you will, whatever I'm writing feels less charged because,
mhm,
it's like so I treat the social media like a social media, you know?
right.
Yeah.
Right, it's a billboard. It's,
Yeah.
"Hey, here's something I do," and I
Yeah.
always figure it too of, like, not everybody wants to go deeper, not everybody wants to go on that journey, that's
Yeah,
fine, but,
no.
like,
No.
but there are curious people that want where they're like, "Wait a second, I want a little bit more," and so
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
good to have them that, like, a little bit more to give them, and, like, so that's how I'm using Substack. All my newsletters now that I send from Substack, they stand on their own, but, like, they primarily only link back to my blog, my website.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, if you
And
wanna
this way you're building backlinks back to your site, which is building authority over time too.
Yep, yep, so if you wanna go a little bit deeper, if you wanna cool, you'll click a link and end up
Mhm.
on my website. And also too, not monetizing through Substack, neither of us do that now. Um, I was a bestseller for about 3 days, and then, exported all my paid followers to Memberful
Yeah.
because I didn't do really a paid newsletter. I never felt good doing it.
Mhm.
I loved and appreciated all the people that would pay for anything, but it was just like, I don't wanna just write for 20 people. It just,
Mm.
like, felt, eh. So I started doing Zoom calls, and that's my membership thing, and that's all handled over on Memberful, which Memberful handles so much better than
Mm.
Substack, 'cause Substack's not built for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, to your point, and I just also didn't like putting everything in Substack, putting all my eggs in Substack's basket, and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
see that a lot with the monetization, I see that with the podcasts.
Yeah.
I'm icky, I'm scared of I don't wanna put all the podcasts, all the
Yeah.
everything into Substack. I
I
want those
mean, we've seen was it with Lucy from Hype
Sure.
Yourself?
Yes.
She wanted to just disconnect her podcast, and
Yep.
it deleted her entire publication. I did a similar almost similar mistake,
Mhm,
not about the podcast per se, but when I wanted to, I decided I didn't want a bestseller badge and I didn't want to monetize on Substack. I wanted to turn the payment off. And I was so close from suddenly being having to refund like a couple of $1,000 because they refund you the remaining time
mhm.
of the subscription, which is another thing where I just suddenly felt like I the customer support, I had as the so I don't know how much you chat about human design and things like that, but I'm
Oh,
the
go ahead.
my style is I'm not that great at just churning all the time the
Mhm,
same. So I'm very, launch spurts and pauses and spurts and pauses. And so my delivery, what I was kind of selling, if you will, was access to one of my books that they got immediately when they upgraded, as well as access to all of the newsletters,
mhm,
which means that in my head, I had fulfilled the transaction. But in Substack, because they could access my book immediately when they upgraded, right?
mhm.
Whereas in Substack's world, I had not fulfilled it. I was basically owing them a refund. Which is also so weird because in no other condition would you, months after somebody has paid you, owe a refund.
Mm,
That's just not how it works. But like if I had not like, oh my God,
yeah,
stop.
right.
They would have debited my credit debit. Oh, they would have taken money from my
Yeah,
account.
taken yeah, take
Um, it was like, yeah, like $2,000 or something,
oh,
and I was just like, "What?"
right.
So and that kind of just cut it for me, so it ended up I
Yep.
had a little pause in writing because I was just like, "What
Mhm.
just happened?" Made me feel like I was just suffocating and stuck. But
Yep.
when you're managing it on your own site, in the sense you're managing the payment processing and
Mhm,
all of those types of things, you can go in the back end and you're taking
mhm.
taking charge of those things equally. Anybody else in the EU, I'm European, I'm in Europe, the EU VAT and all of those types of things is terrible in Substack. I'm like, if
Yeah,
I get a
I bet.
checkup.
I bet. Oh my goodness.
So yeah.
I gotta
Yeah.
say that with Memberful, I mean, I pay them $50 a month as a
Yeah.
service, but, like, if I email them, I'll get an email back from them, like, in
Right
an
away.
hour or 2. Yeah, it's
But
amazing.
what's interesting is this is a thing with social media, that I think is easy to forget. And again, if we now relate to Substack as a social media, where if you're not paying to use it, it means you're the product.
Yep.
And if
Oh,
you're
yeah.
paying for it, you know
Yeah.
that you're going to get the service that you're paying for.
Mhm.
Um, and something that's interesting, let's say with Substack, I mean, as they take 10%, well, it very quickly gets more expensive than just a regular newsletter provider,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it can as it
which
grows.
is also, yeah, as it grows, you end up actually, it costs quite a lot. It's just
Yeah.
that you don't, have to pay it upfront. That's the only difference really.
Yeah.
Um, but if you want to pivot, like you moved your payments,
Mhm.
and I didn't want to move my payments, which is why I kind of ended up in that position, but yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, we do what works and we do what we
Yeah,
have in front of us at the time,
yeah,
but also, I don't know, I think to your earlier point of, like, building that email list and having that, taking the ownership and having that so no matter what would happen with
yeah,
Substack, if it burnt to the ground tomorrow or you got suspended from your account,
yeah.
which happens,
Yeah, or someone hacks you, I don't
or
know.
that? Yeah, right, right. So, um, we'll just wrap up on that of like,
Yeah,
again, I would just love to double down on that as we wrap up. Just the ownership, building our own ecosystem, and
yeah.
maybe just some thoughts on that from you of like how you did that and how you're continuing to do that moving forward.
Um, I think it is the same answer as we started this conversation with, which in some way creates this nice story arc now. We're coming
Mm,
back full circle of just always linking. So the way I look at it is that I'm building a world, right? I'm building a world. I'm not just creating because otherwise it feels so scattered if I have all these different social pages and I don't really know what I'm doing on each. I'm building a world and everything is leading back to my website. Like that's it. And that's my world, my how to enter my website. I the call to actions are always join the email list, always, always, always. So it keeps it very simple in that
mhm,
sense. Whatever I post, wherever I post it, it's something that brings them into my world. How do they enter my world? Through my email list. A social platform will enter the email list. I will have links on my emails going to my website. Some people don't want to put their email address right away, then there will be a link to visit my website and maybe they will join the email list on my website
mm,
instead.
yeah.
Um, and so that is how I kind of have simplified it, if you will, because yeah, we need to, for me at least, managing big audiences on many platforms, um, you drown if you're going to treat each platform differently.
Yeah.
And so that is why it's like on my site I said something that this is my forest where I'm planting building, sorry, what's it called? Growing my roots.
Hmm.
And then, all the platforms wherever I'm showing up are little trees that all
Yeah.
goes back to the root, right?
Hmm.
And so my kind of strategy, I think I saw a question earlier of time or something, relative. So instead of me thinking, okay, I spend 1 hour on this and 1 hour on that, that just doesn't work for my brain.
Mm-mm.
The way I go is my work is essentially I need to share something somewhere every day. And so that can be anything from it's just like kind of getting into the habit of visibility, showing up. But it's not every day that I feel like that I'm gonna write an entire Substack post or that I'm gonna make a video on Instagram, whatever. But something somewhere. It can be a post. It can be a pin on Pinterest. It can be a YouTube video. It can be a post on Substack. It can be something somewhere, and that reduced the pressure
Mm.
to the point where every day is a success because posting something somewhere is a doable task.
Yeah.
Some days I optimize the flywheel, if you will. I yesterday I filmed a YouTube video while embroidering here in Paris. Well, that turned into both an Instagram post and a pin and a note and everything from the
Hmm.
same 10 minutes of me embroidering,
Hmm.
But that's not every day. And it
Right.
doesn't have to be every day either.
Yep.
So like I guess that's it. Decide where is your center? Where is your home? Everything else leads back to your home. Like this, you're never going to wonder what's the point with what you're posting? What's the point with because I think we get stuck in paralysis analysis. No, analysis
Mm.
paralysis. By not know, but simply by just what should I post?
Mhm.
And like essentially, what should I post? Well, if you know that, well, it's something that is about the call to action is clear. It's going to my world. When suddenly what to post gets much easier because you don't have to reinvent the wheel all the time. You also don't have to do new fancy things. I repost
Oh
so
my
much
goodness.
images.
Yep.
Like my for years I was not able to do new artworks as much since children.
Mhm.
Logic. And I just reposted. And I, zoomed in on some spaces. Sometimes I just put a music over it. Sometimes I put, and I just didn't give an F if it had 2,000 views or if it had 100,000 views because that wasn't the metric of success. My metric of success was show up somewhere, like post something somewhere every day just to have the habit of being visible. And literally, I'm now here with 500,000 in my audience, and I
Yeah.
feel blessed, but it's about moving that like make it so I'm in embroidery. Making a stitch a day keeps the doctor away is what I'm saying. Well, it's the same here. Showing up,
Yep.
something. Talking to you today. This is my work today because I'm
Mhm.
showing up somewhere with something.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this counts. The
Yes.
it doesn't always have to be posting. It could be reaching out. It
Yeah.
could be being on someone else's
Yeah.
Zoom thing or
Yeah.
doing an interview on YouTube with
Yes.
somebody. Like that
And
stuff.
and it can be sending an email to somebody,
Yep.
many times that if we're talking about ROI like we did before, just reaching out, just actually sending an email to somebody tends to have a higher ROI when spread out. It's statistics at the end of the day. When spread out to how many emails you sent out or reached out, will
Mhm.
most likely have a higher ROI in terms of money income to your business compared to just randomly posting to social media when according to a content calendar that
Mhm.
somebody else did for you.
Because
So
because
yeah,
someone saying yes to an opportunity or like getting on a podcast or a YouTube video interview or something like that, that all of
yeah,
a sudden opens you up to like possibly tens of thousands of new audience, like
yeah, yeah.
new people.
But
Which
only if you lead them to your home.
right, yeah, you gotta
Yeah,
give them a place to go at the end of
yeah,
that. So,
yeah,
and for you so let's end on that. Where are we going
yeah.
to your website? We'll end on that. What's your
Well,
website?
for Elin Petronella, literally
There
Elin
it is.
Petronella. ElinPetronella.com, you'll find Petronella art if you're into embroidery, but as we're
Mhm.
talking, Elin Petronella. I think here on Substack, the easiest is probably to just subscribe and follow your gut.
Oh, yeah, right.
My
Yep.
writing world, I'm collecting the emails here on Substack for now.
Yep.
And you'll be introduced to my website that way. I will be writing quite a lot about what we're talking about right now
Cool.
in the coming near future. I
Mhm.
have one of my most popular posts on Substack was that I nothing kills my creativity or nothing kills my flow more than a content calendar
Yes.
or an editorial calendar. So I can't tell you exactly when I'm going to be writing about it, but I am in the process of talking about the world building. I think the shift is going from just personal brand into creating a world, a world of humanness. Um, and authentically showing up as you, that we're multifaceted humans in different ways, because that's the only thing AI can't do, as
Yes.
well as you can. Showing up, talking to people. So if you're interested in what we've just been chatting about, be sure to
Yes.
subscribe to Follow Your Gut.
Absolutely.
It's what I'll be writing about, how I'm doing that, how I decentralized Substack, decentralized social media while still using it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There you go. Awesome.
That's it.
Ellen, thank you so much. Thank you
Thank
everybody
you,
for
Seth.
hanging out here. Yes, I'm glad we were able to
Yes.
finally get to be able to do this, and, it was so good talking to
Yes.
you, hearing more about your world building, and, excited to see where you keep taking that, so,
Yeah, we'll see, we'll see.
okay. Uh, thank you so much, Ellen.
Thank you so much.